So last time, that is yesterday, we went over the homework. So this was Wednesday's work. Then this was one of the questions on the homework, that one. So I only gave you one question on the graph for cosine, which was this one here, the one with no vertical shift. Okay, and I think in terms of understanding it's going quite well, right? And then this question here, it was on vertical shift. I just wanted to make you aware that you can shift the graph of sine. All right. So let me talk about horizontal shift, sorry, vertical shift rather. But before I do that, I realize that I might need to talk about the general equation. The general equation of the cosine graph. Right? The general equation is f of x equal to a cos x plus q. Remember, the one for sine is y equal to a sine x plus q. Okay? So all I'm doing here is just replacing the sine by that cos. But the general equation, they're like a similar pattern or a similar notation. Okay, and please be aware that when I put f of x here, I can replace that f of x by y. Okay, so sometimes I might write y, sometimes I can use f of x. It's the same thing. Right, so this is the general equation which you are expected to remember. Okay, that's the general equation. Right. I've already defined what A is, what Q is. Okay? The A, it determines the amplitude. When it's positive, it's equivalent to the amplitude. When it's negative, you just convert that negative to a positive value, then that will be your amplitude. And then Q, it is a value which determines the vertical shift, right? And I defined that already. If Q is positive, then the graph moves up. If Q is negative, the graph moves down, right? So let me move on to an example on horizontal shift, because I've already explained what Q is. Yes? Is that a question? Okay. Horizontal shift. Sorry, vertical shift. Right. So I'm also teaching trigonometry to grade 11. So just bear with me if I say horizontal. It's supposed to be vertical shift. Right? So the vertical shift of a graph is determined by the value of Q. Okay? I've already defined what Q is and the two cases in terms of vertical shift upwards and downwards. Okay? So let me just do some examples. Let me move on to the next page. I need more space. Okay, let's go to an example. You should be able to write this sentence quickly. Right? Okay, this time, since I gave you an example with the graph of sine for vertical shift, let me do one for cos. So we're going to sketch f of x equal to, let's say 3 cos The other one was vertical shift downwards, so this one let's make it upwards. But no, it's going to be downwards, say -2 like that. Cos x -2. Okay, let me write it nicely. So 3 cos x -2. Okay? Now, if I were to ask you a question, can you write, if I would ask you a question, which graph is being shifted by 2 units, what would be the answer? Remember this -2, it represents the vertical shift by 2 units downwards. And the question will be, what is being shifted, or what is the equation of the graph that's being shifted by 2 units downwards? Okay, can someone tell us the answer? Yes, Kabir? It will be y equal to 3 cos x. Thanks. Okay, so it is y equal to 3 cos x, but that's being shifted by 2 units downwards. So first thing, you have to know how to sketch the graph of 3 cos x. Okay, you have to know how to sketch. The good thing is you can use your calculator, right? You can use your what? Your calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch 3 cos x first. Then after that, I'll move that 3 cos x by 2 units downwards. So I'm going to have 2 graphs from the same system of x's, right? But in a test situation, you're supposed to sketch one. But because I'm a teacher, I'm introducing this, I'm going to sketch both of them on the same system of x's. All right. Now, you can do a table of values. Mine, well, just allow me to do it if you're okay. The one that I'm going to do first is the table of values for y equal to 3 cos x. Okay? And then I'm going to use that to explain. So that will be x, this is y, 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180, 270, and then 360 degrees. Right? Since we have got 3 cos x there, so I'm going to get 3 there, then that will be 0, right? And this one will be -3, and then that will be 0, and that will be +3. Okay? Please take note, this table of values is for y equal to 3 cos x before the vertical shift. Okay? Because it's important for you to know which graph is being shifted. Right? So let's sketch it quickly. Okay. Well, I just want you to be aware that since I'm going to sketch both of them on the same system of axis, it's very important for you to know what's your minimum value, what's your maximum on the y-axis. Okay? I'm sure you can agree with me that if we are going to shift the graph by 2 units downwards, okay, it means that the y values are going to be decreased by 2 units. Okay? The y values for y equal to 3 cos x are going to be reduced by 2 units. So I have to subtract 2 from this 3. Then I'll get 1. Subtract 2 from that 0. I'll get -2. Subtract 2 from that -3. I'll get -5. Subtract 2 from the 0, you get -2. and then that 3 goes down to positive 1. Okay, so every y value here is going to be decreased or reduced by 2 units. Okay, so what that means is when I'm sketching here, well, I don't have enough space, unfortunately, but let me try just to calibrate it as careful as possible. So if this is say 1, it will be 2, 3, 4 there, and then we have 5 here. You don't have a ruler. You are supposed to use a ruler. Okay, so we're supposed to have that. Right? It's very important when you are calibrating your axis or when you are labeling your axis, you must use a ruler. Right, so let me start by plotting the points for y equals 3 cos x. So when x is 0, y is 3, so we have got that. Right? When x is 90 degrees, then x is 0. When x is 180, we have got negative 3. When x is 270, y is 0. X is 360, we have got 3. Okay, then I'll sketch it. Okay, now I'm going to label this. This graph is y equal to 3 cos x. This is not the graph that you're supposed to sketch. Okay, but I'm taking you to the basics. And the one that you're supposed to sketch is f of x equals 3 cos x minus negative 2. So we are moving this graph by 2 units downwards. Okay, we're moving this graph here by 2 units downwards. So let me plot the points for f of x. So now remember, okay, can you allow me just to do this? Well, I was thinking of introducing another row there. Because of space, I won't do that. So that 3 there, if you subtract 2 from it, it becomes 1. So when x is 0, y is going to be 1. So this point here, it moves 2 units downwards, right? Then when x is 90 degrees, this point it also moves 2 units downwards, so it will get to negative 2. It will be somewhere there, right? And then that point there, it moves 2 units downwards to negative 5. So it will be somewhere there. And then this point here, it moves to negative 2. Right? And then this point, it moves to positive 1. Right. So now I can sketch the graph. Let me just sketch it in green. So when I sketch it, this is a sketch, right? So it can go like that. Not perfect. Okay. So you look something like that. After the vertical shift by 2 units downwards. Okay. So if I want, I can erase the top one. Okay, but I'm not going to do that because I use that for teaching purposes. So f of x equal to 3 cos x minus 2. Right. Now, in grade 10, it's very simple because we only do graphs of that form. Okay, only vertical shift, no horizontal shift. Horizontal shift is for grade 11. All right. So we can also move this 3 cos x, we can move it upwards. Okay, say by 1 unit or 2 units means this graph here will go up. Right. Now, let's talk about the domain now. Or rather, let's start with the amplitude. The amplitude, remember, as I told you in the past, that is like yesterday or the day before yesterday, you can get the amplitude, from the equation, right? So this value here is the amplitude. You can also do a calculation if you want, whereby you determine the maximum, which is 1, the minimum is -1. Okay, 1 minus 5 over 2 will give you the 3. Okay, please take note that here I'm doing this for f of x. So someone might say he has got 2 graphs. Which graph is he talking about? I'm talking about f of x. So the amplitude is 3. The period is equal to 360 degrees. All your graphs for sine and cosine in this range, the period of 360 degrees for sine and cosine. So if you get any question asking you about the period, you don't have to stress. The answer is 360 degrees for sine and cos. Right? Then the domain to be x is an element starting from 0 degrees up to 360 degrees. And then the range, right? Our minimum here is -5. So the value of y here, which is -5. So that will be y, an element starting from -5 up to 1. Because the maximum value of y is here, which will be positive y. Right? Now, let's have more questions about the graph. Remember, we're talking about the graph of f of x. Like if I were to ask you, for what values of x, right? For what values of x is f of x greater than 0? Okay? For what values of x is f of x greater than 0? Can you determine that for me?
Yeah.
All right, so if you want to answer this question, right, you need to know that the values of y are positive in the what? First function. Okay? So we are talking about from this point up to there, y is positive. Also from this point up to 360, y is positive. So all we want is we need to determine what are the values of x that satisfy this inequality. This is an inequality. Okay? And I also need to let you know that it can also be written as y is greater than 0. The same thing. Okay? F of x is the same as what? Is y. So, in order to get the answer, we need to know what is the value of x here and what is the value of x there. Fortunately, we know that y is 0 here and y is also 0 there. So we can substitute y equal to 0 where there is f of x in the equation of the graph. Right? So we will write 3 cos x minus 2 equal to 0. Then we solve. So we have to use our knowledge of solving trig equations. You cannot do trig graphs without knowledge of trig equations. So this same as 3 cos x is equal to 2, and then you get cos x equal to 2 over 3. Right? Then you drop the cos, goes to the right, it becomes arc cosine of 2 over 3. Okay? Then what answer do you get? 48,19 degrees. Now this 48,19 degrees is the value of x here. So it will be 48,19 degrees. Are you following?
Yes.
Now, in which two quadrants is cosine positive? first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So it's the first and what? And the fourth. So if you now know this value here, which is 48,19, using common sense, what will be the value of x here? I need an exact value for x here. What will be the value of x there? 318, thank you. 318? No. Yes? Huh? Thank you. So it will be 311,81 degrees. So all you have to do is subtract this acute angle from 360 degrees and you will get that value. Okay? If you use your calculator and say cos 48,19, it will be equivalent to cosine of 311,81. Alright? Now we are almost there in terms of the answer. Right? So what will be the answer? Well, here I can also say, or x is equal to 311,81 degrees. So what will be the solution? Right, the answers are going to be two inequalities. The first one will be 0 is less than x, x is less than 48,19. So the answers are going to be 0 degrees is less than x, x is less than 48,19. The other one, I'll say O, is going to be 311,81 degrees is less than x, and x is less than 360 degrees. So what we are saying is, the values of y for the graph are positive when x is between 0 degrees and 48,19. Also, the same values of y are positive between 311,81 and 360 degrees. We following? All right. I think I've done this one here. So